I don't have no disdain for my homeboys like a lot of people do. And I don't expect a lot, but I give a lot. I feel like if more people gave more of themselves, that we would be in a better position. We as black people don't have to say we dishonor where we come from. I was born and raised in the 60s, basically. I wasn't born here, but I was raised in the 60s. I represent what's good about the 60s. I represent to the world what's positive about this area.
All my life I've been a real nigga. I don't know what fake about.
I learned how to jail from PD Wack and Motor Mouse. And I was only with Motor Mouse for probably 3 weeks. But I learned how to become a man and a father more than anything from my father, but from Keithstone. How to be let me say this. From my father, I learned how to be a father when I wanted to be. But from Keithstone, I learned how to be a hustler and a father and a man and a leader all the day. They sent me to the old county first. So I got there like 86. And I stayed in HOJJ, then I went from HOJJ. I had got into a demo with some dudes on the main line. And at that time, you couldn't say blood in the county jail. Like it wasn't no bloods on the main line nowhere in the county jail. You couldn't. The first module wasn't the Crip module. The first module was, I think it was 4,300. They made it like for bloods because bloods couldn't hit the main line. And if you did, it was hard. You had to be a different kind of dude. So it was actually a lot easier for Crips than it was for bloods. So I had a little demonstration on a dude who I knew was a blood in the Damu, and we had a little altercation, and then he ended up telling them out who I was, and that was their way of getting us out of there. So they took about 10 of us, put us in 4,800, and that was the first night. That was my first night in 4,800. I was 18, just to turn 18, and 4,800 was. That was Gladiator school. Okay. The 4,800 days is important. I'm gonna do a movie on that day, on that eventually, because what 4,800 was to me was really like my growth. I went in at 17, I came in at 19. It was the first time I was able really to identify in my life where I really wanted to be as a person in prison. I seen a lot of stuff at 4,800 that was basically shocking to me. I seen homosexuality in there. I seen dudes getting raped, and I seen men getting their manhood taken, and it was like my first time able to really see what a man should be, as opposed to how men could be animals. My first encounter with my big homie, who I still love and respect to this day, was who I had an ultimate spoke was Mouse. Motor Mouse. Me and Motor Mouse came down from the pen, and Motor Mouse had been with the CCO movement, and he was real high up in the CCO movement. Me and him had a conversation, and at the time that me and him had the conversation, I was already progressing to a different frame of thought, and he came and just reinforced it. And he was like, man, look, like because you got so many cases, you definitely going to the pen with all these cases you got, and he like, but. You sharp enough not to get caught up in what we got caught up in, as far as being under that paperwork and that movement, which was good at that time, because Crips was just a wild movement, and we needed something to structure us to even move to become what it became in prison. But the homies needed a structure. So not to say some of my big homies' name, but they was coming off the streets and they was on drugs. So I feel like if you could be the big homie, but if you're not leading in the right way and you don't have no real understanding of where we are and what we're trying to do, you don't need to speak for us. So that was where that came from. Not more of I feel like I can outfight you or whatever have you. It was more of a, you're not in this position to lead, to even speak for the hood.
Some people think it was a power grab. It was more or less the changing of the guard?
It was more of an educational thing. Like right now, I did 13 straight years in prison. But my first education about life was really like 4,800. And I took what I learned in 4,800 to move while I was in prison. I would go to a different yard in prison. And when I got to that yard, If the car was being run right, no matter who was running it, which one of the homies, it didn't matter to me. If he was running correctly and we was working out like we was supposed to, wasn't nobody, homies coming on the yard, getting high, dudes ain't walking around with shower shoes on, dudes is reading and study, why would I come to change that? But if I got to a yard and our homies is loose and nothing is right, why wouldn't I, as a man, change that? Why wouldn't I have a voice and saying this is how we should look? That would be remiss of me. So yeah, I conflict with my homeboys. Because if you roll up somewhere right now and your homeboy got homosexual activities going on the yard, that's gonna say something about the whole car. So that was one thing we didn't do. I mean, and that put me at odds. There was some yards I go to, dudes would drop kites on me and wouldn't even let me hit the yard because they felt like they didn't want to be structured. They didn't want to have discipline. They didn't want to have certain things. And that's like that for everybody. Like on the streets right now. You know, you got dudes that say I'm from this part of the hood, I'm from that part of the hood. I'm from wherever everybody is moving in the right direction. I support everything that the homies do that's positive. And dudes say I'm still pushing the line for the hood. No, I represent the Crenshaw community. I ain't never been an ex-nothing. I'm still from this Crenshaw community. I'm still from my land. I still love my homeboy. I got out after all those cases in '87. And Stone was just not coming back from Seattle, coming back home. But he had been hustling there. And Stone was getting chronic and all that stuff and bringing it to Seattle. He was telling me this is the wave of the future. This is the wave of the future. I'm like, bro, I don't know nothing about that. Give me that white shit and let's go. So he was always telling me, man, no, you got to get out that game. But what the Stone was, he had bought a house on 60th up on top of the hill. Stone bought a house in 1989 on 60th. And he used to always have his kids with him. And he used to always be like, man, the most important thing is family, man. You gotta have your family with you. I'm not letting no other person raise my kids. I want my sons to know me and my daughter to know me. He used to always have his babies with him all the time. And Stone was in the lowriders. So Stone had relationships with dudes from every gang. You know, he had relationships with Bloods, he had relationships with dudes from all different sets. And we used to go places. And Stone, everybody knew him and respected how he moved. He used to always tell me, man, you can't go tearing up places when we go somewhere. But I was still young, I was still wild. You know what I mean? I felt like I wanted to push the line for the hood, and I wanted the homies, I want dudes to respect us no matter where we went. So I still was in that kind of mentality, which was necessary at that time, and it was a crew of us. We went to an event with Stone one time, and it ended up turning out real bad. And after the event, we all made it home. And I never forget Stone was chastising me. You trying to get me sent to jail. You trying, man, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why you doing? I'm like, man, but it's the hood though. This is what we supposed to do. He like, man, you know, you do it at the right time. The shit you just did was not necessary. And I mean, he just would he would analyze and break everything down and how things should be done and when it should be done. And this is where I learned that from. And I remember I had took a loss. And I was on some other stuff. And he came to me, never forget it. He knew I took a loss and I was at home. And I was just in my house, me, Big S Mac, GB, and Bronco T. We was just in my house. We got guns all over this mud. Me and S Mac sitting on the couch playing video games. And Stone come over there, he like, man, let me holler at you. He took me in the back room, he pulled out a bag and he gave me a bag. He said, get on your feet, man, and respect the game. I'm like, he like, I'll holler at you. Holler at me when you're ready. And he just left. But no, when Stone got killed, I was in trial. I was just starting trial when Stone got killed.
You knew all these people personally, just like Stone knew.
No, I actually didn't know no D-Rocks. I only knew Ant. And the dude had flipped from claiming D-Rock, and we put him on the hood. Cause I didn't trust him. Cause I was kind of jealous. Stone, my big homie. I'm like, man, where does this dude come from? And Stone was like, man, no, he good, man. You can't be just tripping on everybody. And Stone just was Stone was real kind. Like Stone would help anybody, man. He didn't care. He was a good dude. He was nowhere like you know, like I was at the time, but I think I'm more like that now. But Stone would help anybody. And at the time, I don't even know where dude came from. I don't even know where Ant came from, but he had moved in, was living with Stone. He was living in Stone's house. And Stone had he was living with us, and I'm like, man, this dude always around. You know what I mean? I wanted to see if he can fight, you know, me being young. I'm like, man, nah, man, we're gonna line this dude up. He always wanna be around. I'm like, man, you don't wanna claim the hood? He's like, yeah, man, I'll bang the hood if Stone let me. And I'm like, all right, nigga, you gonna bang the hood. So that was my way of getting to him. So we took the nigga to the beach one day, and we could have put him on the hood. It really was simple. I give him the business. Then, shortly after that, a lot of shit happened. I ended up going to jail for the case that I did 13 years for.
Let me ask you something about that case.
Yeah.
There's a newspaper article on that case.
Right.
In that newspaper article, they label you the leader. Is JJ Mays responsible for giving LA Times that label?
No, let me talk about that. Because this is where people get confused. JJ Mays is actually responsible for us not getting the RICO Act. Because JJ Mays, who was he was I don't know, was a sergeant or lieutenant, when they was trying to put a RICO Act on the 60s, and they had a couple of dudes who was telling us, saying that, trying to give us an order and saying that Stone was ahead, I was this and all that, trying to label us like they do in Chicago. JJ Mays in 77 was like, nah, them dudes don't get down like that. There's no order like that. And not only that, they fight against each other.
When you was doing your time in the penitentiary, did you run across any of those dudes from out in the water?
Oh yeah, yeah, we ran across, well, I don't remember what year it was. Fitzgerald was one who actually was convicted of killing Stone, came to Calipat. When he came to Calipat, we had a Mexican standoff with what was it called at the time? OVG, the San Gabriel Valley, all of them, they got together, and all the Blue Notes, they got together on the yard, and they came and told us that what happens on the streets stays on the streets, and that, you know, we can't do nothing to Fitzgerald when he comes.
So they ran the Blue Notes, or that Blue Notes is just trying to be peacemakers?
What? I mean, you know, they was really just doing what they doing. They was trying to be peacemakers on one note, and they was trying to be peacemakers. I would say they didn't have bad intentions. They were just trying to keep it 100 with what the prison was about. But then they knew the situation with us was bigger than whatever have you. So they shot their shot, and that wasn't gonna happen. If nothing else in my lifetime, if it was one thing in my life that was not gonna happen, that man wasn't gonna walk the yard with us, period. And I actually stayed on that yard to try to catch him. And make a long story short, we caught him.
Who said LA Times that label on it?
I don't know where that came from. I mean, I think it was more like how everything was going, and then how we was moving. It was like, cause Stone was the organized. Stone had us all together. Like we was having picnics, we was partying, everybody's coming to Stone House, we was moving in a different way. And they was trying to say it was organized as a RICO Act. It wasn't like no leader and no organization to it where they can come and say this dude is this and that.
Why you think JJ Mays stepped in?
He wasn't trying to help us, but he wasn't trying to help us, he just told the truth. He didn't step in, he was like, basically like, this is like, it's not organized like that. You know what I mean? It wasn't organized like that. His statement, because when we caught our case, me and Eddie Boy, his statement was a statement that bifurcated what was said by other people. Like when they was they was really trying to book me at Stone.
Slauson Avenue where the bullets rain, no umbrellas. If we ain't 20 years in, we are not brothers. Miss me with the fuck shit. I'm throwing bullets out of Colt 45 on some Andrew Luck shit.